class that I will be building on today will be basically about mitochondria DNA, the origins of it, understanding what it is, where it comes from, who gives it, who passes it on, who receives it, and things of that nature. Within that build, I'll also be giving a slight introduction or build on chromosomes, the X and the Y. So to start out, let's first discuss the mitochondria DNA. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a couple of quotes. Well, during the build, I'm going to read a couple of quotes from our doctrine, actual facts, as well as some other scientific points. For starters, in understanding the mitochondria, or mitochondrial DNA, I'm going to take a quote out of Geneticus, line number 142. Mitochondrial DNA, this DNA came from the outside of the nucleus in a compartment of a cell called mitochondrion, which produce nearly all the energy to keep the cell alive. One of the things that our master teacher, Bob Yannigan, also known as Malachi Z.K. York, has taught us is to understand and know our bodies. Okay, understand how they work, when they work, and what each system and bodies is, made of. So let's take a quick look at the cell, okay? If you look at a cell, right, and you look at the basic components of a cell, which I won't list all of them, but, I'll probably list, well, I'm not going to say all of them. But you look at the basic components of a cell, and one of the basic components is the mitochondrion, okay? Now, the mitochondrion is located within the cell, somewhere like off towards the end of it. But with that being said, within the mitochondrion, which is a little component, it's like a little bubble or a little ball, within the component of the mitochondrion is the mitochondria. It carries the mitochondria. And within the mitochondrion, the mitochondria composes also specks and pieces and parts of DNA, which we call the mitochondrial DNA. Okay, so again, if we understand what mitochondrial DNA is and where it is within the cell, is in each and every single cell. We have billions and billions and billions of cells in the body. Okay, and it produces, the purpose of that, it produces all the energy to keep the cell alive. So being that as it may, you take it all the way back down to the very, very component of a cell and understanding the importance of the mitochondrial DNA. So that brings me to my point to say that yes, men and women have mitochondrial DNA because it produces the energy to keep the cell alive. So here I'm going to give an illustration and a quick draw out in reference to the chromosomes and how it relates to mitochondrial DNA, as well as how it's passed on from mother to child. Okay, so if we look here, we understand that the woman, okay, so the woman's going to be in red and the man's going to be in blue. So the woman would be the XX chromosome, okay? With the XX chromosome, the woman is a complete being. She only carries XX chromosome. She doesn't carry anything other than that. So when she ovulates, she produces X eggs, okay, within her reproductive system, okay? So when you come here, we're going to understand that the man, or the male, he's here, what would be, I gotta be dramatic, X, Y. So he will be X, that's the X, Y. Now, if you know a little bit about the doctrine and just science in general, you'll understand that the man is nothing more than just, he's also an X chromosome, but his Y is a manipulated X chromosome. Okay, so this used to be an X, but we understand in our story and things in our doctrine that the X was manipulated into a Y to create a male. So the male produces an XY chromosome. Okay, so in the joining together or the mating of a man and a woman, okay, he produces within his cells and within his being X and Y, because he is an X and Y. The woman, on the other hand, only produces the X, as I was mentioning before. So during sexual reproduction, okay, here, the male excretes sperm cells, okay, because spermatozoa is sperm. So in that, he excretes 7 million sperm cells, which the scientific term is spermatozoa. Yeah, into the cervix during ejaculation, and in those sperm cells, he's secreting. Part of those sperm cells are Okay, these are boy sperm cells. These will be the Y. So these are Y sperm cells. Okay, he also excretes little bitty X sperm cells. Okay, these are the girls. Okay, and all these come out together in that 7 million. Okay, some men produce more or less, but that's pretty much the rough general number of it. Now, considering we all are made up of either an XX or an XY, okay, this comes from the mother, these come from the father. So whichever one gets to that first and fertilizes the egg is what the sex of the baby is going to be. Now, the mitochondria DNA, okay, is going to always come from the mother. Always. Okay, the mitochondria DNA is in the sperm cells of the father. However, they're lost during reproduction once the sperm hits the ovum and the tail releases and is lost. So the male cannot pass on mitochondria DNA to the child. He carries it, but he cannot pass it on. Only the mother. Okay, so like I said, depending on which sperm cell gets to this egg first, it will determine whether it'll be a baby boy or a baby girl. So if one of these X get up there, it will be an XX. If one of these Y's get there first, it will be an XY. Okay, but like I said, only the mitochondria DNA is going to come from the mother, never the father. But yet the father carries it in the tail of the sperm cell. Okay, so to further elaborate on the answer to the question, which was, or the initial question, which was, does the male actually carry the mitochondria DNA? The answer will be yes. However, he can't pass it on to his children. It is lost during the reproduction phase, which comes off in the tail part of the sperm cell. So yes, the male does have mitochondria DNA because it's in his cells. And it's very necessary, because if he didn't have it, he wouldn't be alive, because the mitochondria DNA contains the components and that produces all the energy to keep the cell alive. So if the cell isn't alive, nothing is alive. Not tissues, not organs, not systems, or anything of that nature. So point is that, you know, how when we teach in our doctrine and what we were taught via, you know, our master teacher, Baba Yananan, was that the woman is God. And that's one of the reasons to prove that the woman is God, because life comes from her. Not only does she give birth, however, via the mitochondria DNA, which is the component that keeps all the component that produces the energy that keeps all the cells alive, or keeps the cell alive. If that component didn't exist or was not given to you from your mother, you would not be alive. So that life right there comes from the mother. So if you have any other questions, or if something that I mentioned wasn't clear within this build, please feel free to drop a comment or a question below, or send an email to aeoedetroit @gmail.com, and I'll address any question via this method by doing a class or video or what have you, in reference to what your misunderstanding may be in regards to our culture, the sciences of our culture, who we are, our master teacher, Baba Yanaman, also known as Malachi Z.K. York, and anything along those lines. I appreciate you for tuning in to this class, and tune in again. Ciao hat.